you start your day off this morning? Are you one of those people that goes to Starbucks and gets like a super crazy vanilla frappe latte thing? Or maybe did you start with a can of soda? I hope not. Or maybe you made a healthy choice. Did you like have a whole wheat bagel or some granola or some Greek yogurt or something like that? Well, we're going to talk today a little bit about what choices that we sometimes make that we think are healthy. And we are going to literally talk about how your brain actually gets hijacked by sugar. All right, stay tuned. Okay, so I was kind of joking about the whole soda thing, but I'm not joking about the crazy lattes that I hear about people like 800 or 1,000 calories. That's insane. But if you're trying to make healthy choices, like, granola and things like that, like in the 70s, man, granola was like the healthiest thing in the world. But nowadays, we've learned a lot. So if you're over 40 and you are still struggling with stubborn weight loss and you're just having a really hard time with it, well, it might not be your fault. So let's see if we can figure this out together. You are not failing at willpower. I've done some research this week and I've checked in with 15 of my favorite scientists and doctors. And basically, they said that historically, we ate just a little bit of sugar every year, like a few pounds, because we weren't able to find it. So, hunter gatherers were basically once in a while, they'd run across some honey or they'd run across berries, things like that, but not all the time. Hey, those hunter gatherers could switch back between burning sugar or burning fat. They had what's called metabolic flexibility. We've kind of lost that as modern humans. If you fast forward to today, the average human on Earth is actually consuming 22 teaspoons of sugar a day, not a year, a day. And guess what that adds up to if you multiply that out by 365 days in a year? That adds up to 150 some odd pounds of sugar. That's insane. That's like if you look at a little 5-pound bag of sugar, it's like a brick, like about like that. Can you imagine that? 150 pounds. That's just so much sugar. I can't even imagine it. And the sad news is that's adults. Kids are actually 34 teaspoons of sugar a day, which I can believe, knowing some of the kids I know. We don't have to keep doing that. We can change these things. But quite frankly, I used to have a really bad sugar tooth, like sweet tooth, and it took me a while to understand that it wasn't just the desserts. There's other things that you eat that actually literally turn into sugar. So we're going to talk about some of those today. So here's the kicker. People used to eat regular food. They weren't eating all this processed food. Today, 60 to 65% of what people are putting in their mouths are processed foods. And where are they created? Well, they're not created by your grandma and your mom and being put on your dining room table. They're being created by big companies that really are just interested in getting you hooked. That's it's the long and the short of it. It's kind of a sad thing. Every company wants you to be their customer and they want you to be a loyal customer and eat lots of their stuff. Well, we're too smart for that. We need to use our brain and stop being addicted to sugar and other food-like products that they're creating. I'll just say that. So as you wander down the grocery aisles, all those bright colored packages were literally designed to attract you. And all of the products that they've created, they have spent hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars hiring food specialists so that they can create food that tastes super good to you and your family and your children. Just a reminder from your favorite wellness warrior, me, that I am doing these videos just for your education and purposes, not for medical advice. If you need medical advice, you should talk to your doctor. But I do follow a lot of researchers and scientists because I want to know the latest that's happening. And I like to pass it on to you so that you don't have to wait as long as I did. After the age of 60, I lost 50 pounds and it was hard work and I struggled really hard for every pound and every ounce of knowledge. And so that's why I created this channel so I can try to help you so that you don't have to spend as much time wasting your time trying to figure it all out because you can do this. I know you can. I have every confidence in you. So, what doctors and scientists are telling us is it's a staggering health crisis because over 92% of Americans are not metabolically flexible. In fact, they either they're metabolically inflexible. In fact, they either have pre-diabetes or they have diabetes. That's an insane amount of people that are in that category. And what they say is 80% of the people that they don't even know that they have pre-diabetes. And I work on it really hard because I don't want to get diabetes. I saw what it did to people that I loved and I don't want to have it. So if you suspect that you might have prediabetes or you might even have diabetes, there are things that you can do. And over time, I learned the different things that I could do to keep myself from becoming diabetic. So, and I'm not trying to shame people who are diabetic, it's not their fault. So let's try to understand how your brain basically functions and how these big companies take advantage of the way that our bodies are built to basically create dependence so that they can just, have lots of money. Here's a crazy number. By 2045, the world diabetes rate is projected to be 785 million people on the planet with diabetes. That's really sad. So you can see this is a global crisis, and it starts above the neck with your brain and how your brain functions and how your body is controlled by your brain. Before sugar breaks your body, it completely takes over and uses your brain chemistry to basically um, so that your body wants sugar. So it will keep trying to get sugar, and it is for some people it is an addiction. It's a food addiction. We often call sugar cravings a sweet tooth. I did it a little while ago. So what does your brain have to do with this? Well, your brain has pleasure centers, and in some of those pleasure centers you have a chemical called dopamine. And dopamine, when you eat sugar, your brain likes that sugar and it wants more of it because it's easy to run on sugar. I want you to think of a sweet tooth as a full-on brain hijack. It's literally hijacking your brain. We've been told that dopamine is the molecule of pleasure. When you eat a cookie, you feel happy. When you eat some cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, you feel very happy. And you think that that's the dopamine, but actually, the newest research the neuroscientists have been um, looking into, they used to just think that dopamine was like the happiness molecule, but what they've found is dopamine actually has different qualities. It's actually the molecule of craving and anticipation. And I think it's set up that way because when people were first, hunter gatherer type people or farmers or something like that, you did not want to miss out because there was only so much of that sugar. And so you were highly motivated to eat as much of it as you could get your hands on. You see that with kids sometimes at a birthday party or something. They break the piñata and like every kid is running after the candy. So when you eat sugar, your dopamine spikes and it gives you a quick feeling of pleasure, but then it basically pushes you to want more. It's almost the FOMO thing. It's the fear of missing out. So the dopamine pushes you to seek after it. So the second the taste fades for the sugar, the biological switch goes back to the pain because it wants you to get more. And so you basically will do pretty much anything to go get that. And I think there's a lot of truth to it. When you're sitting down with friends or something and they have a package of Oreos, that package of Oreos does not last that long, especially if you're watching Netflix or something like that. It's literally, before you know it, you know, half the package is gone and there's only 3 of you eating them. So, we are definitely motivated. Our brain wants to get, it wants to get more of that sugar because you're hardwired for it. So stop beating yourself up over that. But that doesn't mean that you should give into it. There are ways to overcome that. So if you've ever wondered why it feels physically impossible to say no to sugar, it's because your brain has three separate parallel neural pathways screaming at you to eat it all at once. Pathway number one is conscious taste. The sweet receptors on your tongue instantly shoot a rocket message up to your brain's reward center. Pathway number two is a hidden gut brain connection. Deep in your stomach and intestines, neuropod cells literally taste sugar subconsciously. And even if you use artificial sweeteners, these gut cells sense the missing glucose and send electrical signals up your vagus nerve, demanding the real thing. And then pathway number three is cellular metabolism. Your brain cells prefer glucose for fuel. The actual breakdown of sugar inside your brain chemically reinforces your desire to go and look for more. So, to prove how powerful this wiring is, let's look at some famous MRI brain studies. High sugar foods light up the exact same reward pathways as hard drugs like morphine and heroin. Yikes. In fact, in laboratory studies, rats will work 8 times harder to get sugar than they will to get cocaine. It is a true biological addiction. And for us, people over 40, this gets supercharged. Usually after a stressful day, or I know for me, when I'm stressed out, after whatever event, it will be extra hard for me to control myself. Or maybe it's just like at the end of the day, you just like had a million things to do and you just want to watch Netflix and have some popcorn. Well, chronic daily stress spikes your cortisol. And when cortisol is high, your logical prefrontal cortex literally goes offline. Your primal survival brain takes the wheel and demands the fastest fuel available, glucose. You aren't weak willed. Your brain is literally reaching for sugar to use as a chemical hug. I need a hug. I remember that from some movie, some kids movie. I need a hug. So the next time you're tempted to, to eat sugar, try to remember that there are other ways to get that hit, to get that good feeling. Sometimes what I literally do is I put on my shoes and I go for a walk. Even at 9 or 10 at night, if I'm feeling like tempted or something, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take a walk. And by the time I get back from the walk, I'm fine. So I just want to encourage you to, think of other ways, other things to do, and be mindful and conscious when you're making these choices. Don't allow your brain to override what you really want, what your goals really are. So this isn't just about some pesky cravings and some belly fat and things like that. It's literally the amount of sugar that the modern human has in their body and that's going into their brain is so alarming that they're literally calling all of the brain issues type 3 diabetes now, which leads to Alzheimer's and dementia. Chronically elevated blood sugar causes silent neuroinflammation. It suppresses the growth of vital new brain cells and literally shrinks your hippocampus, which is your brain's memory center. Because of this direct biological connection, metabolic health experts are now calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. So when your brain cells become insulin resistant, they can no longer pull in glucose for energy. Protecting your metabolic health today is the single most powerful step you can take to protect your mind and memory for tomorrow. So, how do we stop this hijack of our brains? Well, it starts with outsmarting the food industry. In fact, they know what the laws are. They know what the laws are, and they literally try sneaky tricks. Like there's this new thing that they're doing, and it's called what's it called? It's called the ingredient split, where they literally will take instead of saying that sugar is basically the number one ingredient in a lot of these things, they'll split it into different kinds of sugar so that it's got 3 or 4 different names to it, and because of that, they're allowed to split the names, and so because of that, it makes it look like, "Oh, it looks like the whole wheat is the main ingredient in this product," when you've got 3 or 4 names for sugar all split up, so they appear lower on the list, and you think that that the sugar is not as prevalent in these things as they are. So there's literally hidden sugar in everything. So I really hope that you take the time to look at the products that you're eating. Literally, pasta sauce has sugar in it and ketchup has sugar in it. And some pastas have sugar in them, and rice bran sugar. And we are going to go into every different name that you can find, just not in this video because it's already too long. So look forward in the future. We're going to continue this series because it's so important to your health and your children's health and your family's health for the future of our planet even. We just have to learn to take care of ourselves better and to eat better and to take care of those that we love. So I hope this was helpful to you. Please, subscribe, like, do all those things, but also please leave a comment. I would really love to hear what you learned in this video, if you learned something new. And also, what are you thinking? What are you going to do in your life to, help get control of the sugar cravings that you might have? I definitely in the future am going to be doing videos on how to get rid of those cravings. But I felt it was super important that you understand how your biology and your brain is working really in some ways against you because it just wants to survive. Your body wants to survive. And so survival to your body is more important than you being, thin or in great shape or whatever. So, anyway, enough said. I hope that you learned something and as my husband used to say, sugar is a drug, not a food. So, on that exciting note, um take care of yourself out there and let us know what we can do to help you. All right, take care.